This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon. I didn't say that very excitingly, did I? My name is Dave Nixon. What is this, a current affair? Anyway, a current affair, for those that you don't know, I don't know why I don't know how I started with a current affair. Is just Google it. Anyway, so today we're continuing on with the Enneagram, and for those of you that haven't either listened to the other episodes on the Enneagram or haven't done the Enneagram yet, if you jump on Facebook, search Mood Prep Online, I've added the link in there of where you can go and do the test. The Enneagram is actually, it would fall under what's called a psychospiritual test. What that basically means is it looks at the psychological side of things, but also looks at probably some of the more spiritual side of things, or what I would usually refer to, you will hear me refer to as essence. And so the ability to make something spiritual without making it sort of corny or too rah-rah. I'm not sure if there's another word for that, but there probably is. But either way, too far out there. I think the Enneagram does that really well. It's one of the things that I really lean into, one of the things that I teach. This ability to be really connected with ourselves as ourselves without having to be in this space of humming a tree, so to speak. I think there's more to it than that, but really truly understanding what's at the core of our own very essence, and then looking at the human experience on top of that. It's a very interesting thing. So moving along, we're looking at the type 3 today of the Enneagram, which is the achiever. So looking at the achiever from an overview point, the achiever, especially at their best, but the achiever is the hardworking, charming, a humble, the healthy individual can be quiet and is extremely humble, diligent, friend and lover. They have this magic ability to show up again and again and again, and literally fall into this space of having so many achievements. Right, so they can be fantastic leaders and they can be fantastic managers. They can kind of do both. And because leadership and management is different. Management is really dealing with details, dealing with things and systems, whereas leadership is actually, technically, it's more of a feminine skill. It's dealing with, it's working with people, it's inspiring people, it's leading people. So there's something pretty interesting for you. So this type 3 achiever has the ability to do all of that. Now, the healthy type 3, like I said, is very humble. They have this ability to continually keep achieving things, whether that be through university or work or something along those lines, but they never hang their hat on the things that they achieved. It doesn't feed their ego. It doesn't sort of allow them to be super proud and boastful or anything along those lines. It's just a part of something that feels like a purpose for them, and so they kind of just go ahead and do what they need to do. It's not because they need to achieve in order to feel good. It's like they feel good, and the byproduct of doing the things that make them feel good means that they achieve, but it doesn't really bother them either way. They would do it regardless. And so a type 3 at their healthiest is really in that sort of space. They're really quite charming. They take care of themselves. They're often attractive, which is an interesting trait, but I guess it's more so the fact that they care about their outward presence. Whereas when you move into more of an average type 3, remembering there's 9 levels of healthiness, and there's 3 areas. So levels 1, 2, and 3, levels 4, 5, and 6, levels 7, 8, and 9. So the average achiever will fall into the patterns of feeling like they need to achieve in order to be worthy. And so this is difficult because we start to see conditional esteem. It's like, I am good if I'm continually achieving, which is often a trait. And I had a podcast on this. You can search it. I think it was the Achievement Wheel of Death. And the point of that I was talking to was looking at these people that are really like, they were really rewarded when they were younger for achieving. But not only that, they weren't rewarded for attention or love at other times. And so they made the distinction that when I achieve, when I become successful in whatever endeavor I'm doing, that usually someone else values, by the way, and usually an older authority, then I'm good. And so they continually keep achieving. But what ends up happening and in today's climate, today's world, that's seen as this really successful thing. So we're showing all these people who are super successful in their given fields, but they're fucking empty, right? I mean, Hollywood's full of them, let alone real estate agents, and it could be anywhere, really. And what ends up happening is that when they were younger, because they were taught that, they only felt good whenever they achieved, and they got approval from the person that they craved love from the most. But as an adult, they no longer get that approval, and they no longer get that love, but they've ingrained and trained themselves so hard to continually keep achieving and keep working that that's all they know they can do. So when they feel lost, they go and try and achieve more, even though when they finish that, they still feel more lost because they're still trying to find that sense of self-worth, which actually was never a sense of self-worth, just a sense of worth that they got from an external source. And so what's really important to the average type 3 is basically how they're seen and how they're perceived in the eyes of others. So they'll probably get caught telling little white lies from time to time. They might start to exaggerate their achievements so that people start to really think that they're probably doing better than what they actually are. And they're usually very clean cut. You won't see somebody, very rarely will you see someone sort of more chilled out and maybe unkept as a type 3, at least not a healthy one anyway. So the reason being is that they want to be able to present, right, that they are doing well, and they want people to think that even if they're not. I mean, I remember having an issue with this person, and I brought it up with my coach, and I said, look, this is really bothering me, and we pulled it apart. And it was actually, I had a business coach at one point. I think we've all been there. And displaying the traits of this individual and everything, like looking back now, fucking what I've learned, just everything makes complete sense of this average type 3 that did whatever they could to put themselves onto a pedestal, to make themselves inflated as almost like a you need me sort of position, and talk about selling and whether you're good enough to be a part of a group. But it was all this bravado, and it was very, really, really quite interesting. And for sure enough, like later on, the person tried to sue me. Right, I hired them as a coach. They ignored me and cut me out of the group once I said I wanted to finish up. They went on to try to sue me for a Facebook review that I did before I left. Yeah, really interesting. Anyway, and then it's just these particular things, and they never got back to that either. Like it's just these traits of this person wanting to be constantly winning. And so these people are competitive. At their healthiest, they're actually cooperative, collaborative. They like to collaborate, but at the average levels, they're really competitive, and they'll even have a sleight of hand in order to try and win. Whereas the healthy ones, they see fair game and fair's fair. So very, very interesting, because for them to be seen to win, the average 3, if they're seen to win, then that's a status thing for them. And so status is crucial to the average 3, especially if it's in the eyes of other people. And so if they're seen to be a part of a group in the eyes of someone else, then their associations and who they associate with is really, really, really important. So yeah, I mean, if you really want to see a couple of type 3s, just jump on Instagram and go to your explore field. I'm sure you'll see some pop up there. But either way, the unhealthy 3 can be quite dangerous. This person becomes bipolar. They can, of course, go into a depressive stage. But the difficulty with the bipolar in it's somebody who does lean into type 3 out of all the types. They're the ones that are most likely to go to bipolar, is that you get, obviously, both polar ends of it. So you get the highs and you get the lows. That person, so with the healthiest 3, will actually integrate to a 6 and take on these qualities of the loyalist and become loyal to themselves and loyal to the people around them and loyal to the truth. The average 3 will go to, the unhealthy 3 will actually go to 9 on the peacemaker and take on qualities, or traits rather, it's hard to call them qualities, of really escaping reality and sort of being in this daydreaming space around who they think they are when actually they're someone else. And that unhealthy, that low average to unhealthy 3 is often the used car salesperson. They're often the person that's Catch Me If You Can. Have you seen that movie? There's your 3. Hey, just like completely tricking everyone else. They can be psychopathic, they can be narcissistic, especially the average 3, but definitely the unhealthy 3, and they will have this face. Now, one of the core things for the 3 is that they're afraid that they'll be found out, so they keep people at arm's length, especially the average 3. They keep people at arm's length because they're afraid they'll be found out, and that behind that mask they're empty. There's no depth to them, and so they end up being quite shallow. It's another reason why they try and keep people into this space of like not really learning who they truly are, because if they learn who they truly are, they'll find that there's not a whole lot to them. This is what they think about themselves, hence why they put on such a front. And because of that, what ends up happening is that they'll lose respect from that person. This is the world that they think that they live in. And so that's why they put on this mask. Whereas at the core, it's the healthiest 3 out of all of it is the ability to be able to be connected with themselves and be truthful and honest, like, to themselves. And then they show up in the world as themselves, and that's when they can be such a fantastic force of getting things done and collaboration and love. But it really takes a lot for that 3 to really lean into who they truly are and be proud of themselves, to show up in that way. But when they do, they're one of the hardest working and trustworthy types out of all of them, because they're showing up as themselves every single day, and they're doers. So anyway, that's the type 3. There's your achiever. If you found this podcast beneficial, and if you think that you might know a 3, I think we all do, then it would mean the world to me if you'd pass it on to someone else that you think would also find this beneficial. If you haven't already, you know the deal. Jump on Facebook, search Rupert Online, join the conversation there. I know a couple of you guys jumped on after this, and I'd love to see you in there, and let me know which types you are. I'll be super interested to have a chat with you and see how you're going with it. Otherwise, team, that's it. That's me done for today. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza. Kick today in the dick. Slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
Happiness to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.